Okay, what's up? So, yesterday, July 2nd, 2024, we got released, finally, the College Football 25 Dynasty Deep Dive. And we've been waiting for this for a very, very, very long time. And thankfully we got it. But we got released a video that was 6 minutes and like 15 seconds long. I'm not going to be talking about that really at all because the real bank of information that we got is the fucking 85-page written form Dynasty Deep Dive that was posted on the EA website. So that's what I'm going to be going through here. Today I'm going to be focusing specifically on the coach stuff. Just giving you my knowledge that I have to share, my opinions that I have to share, comparing it, contrasting it to NCAA 14, and just generally letting you guys know what I think, and then hopefully you guys are speaking in the comments about it because I like to have a discussion about these things. This is stuff I'm very passionate about. If you don't know who I am, I'm Octopus. I worked independently on a lot of stuff in the CFBR, college football revamped community. I made my own rosters. I made my own profiles and slider sets. I helped Fang with a lot of the stuff in the recruit overhauls. He took inspiration from my rosters with specifically things like the stamina rating, trying to get realistic subbing naturally of football players throughout the game. Things like the injury rating, trying to get realistic injuries for the recruits that are generated in game, and just a ton of other stuff. Like I said, I've literally spent thousands of hours that I've donated to the community and just trying to make the game better. But if you're watching this right now, there's a 99% chance you don't give a fuck who I am. If you do, thanks, I appreciate it. But you guys want to hear about this coaching information that we got in this massive Dynasty Deep Dive. So I'm going to stop yapping for a second here and actually get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go through here is just them giving the breakdown, saying that they used real life data for a lot of this shit with Dynasty mode. And that seems very apparent from things that we'll get into, moving forward here. But the first thing I want to talk about is they use this motto, satisfy the core community, because this is their game. And that seems very apparent from just how they go about everything. And you'll start to see as we go through this, but they really do try to create college football and bring it into this virtual world, right? This virtual space that you have to try to mimic the game in, and they do quite well. But the first thing we really get eyes on, get a look at, is this UI for the main Dynasty scrim. And typically shit like that, I'm just like, all right, that's cool, I guess. I'm very neutral, but this is just clean. It looks very similar to NCAA 14, yeah, but just stylistically, there's something very aesthetically pleasing about it, to me anyway. But that's a theme that you're going to see about all the UI that we get into, especially whenever we get into stuff that actually has information on the screen. You're going to see the recruiting UI, some of the coaching UI, and that shit I will talk about, but it's really, really nice. You get a ton of information, all of it being very useful and necessary information, but not so much on the screen that it's burdensome to the eyes. It's just done very, very well, but we'll get into that. Okay, so the first heading we get here is build your coach. And under this, we mainly talk about this concept that no coach can be perfect. And sure, you can still go out there and go 232-0 if you're using some easy ass sliders, but this is more referring to the coach skill trees and the 11 branches that you get, which is fucking massive. They're saying that you can't have it all maxed out. You can't be the perfect coach in terms of that, which is going to create a lot of variance, especially with all 11 branches, and have coaches feel like they have uniqueness to them, and they're going to feel more real in that way. And also this concept that there's a rock, paper, scissors relationship between a lot of the different abilities that these coaches are going to have. If you're going to have an ability that, you can increase pass rush, there's going to be a conflicting ability that a coach could be using to, increase pass blocking. But this goes all the way through recruiting, and even off the field things are mental abilities as well, from what we were told. So that's a really nice thing. You're able to combat a lot of the different abilities. So it creates it's definitely an RPG feel, but it's clean. It's just clean. It's clean. It really creates a world where you're able to fashion your coach to get whatever strengths you want, but also to try to mask whatever weaknesses he has. So it just seems like a good philosophy for them to have with this. Okay, so next we talk about coach progression. And under this section, it seems like it's laid out very similar to NCAA 14, which is cool, I guess. Like there was no issues with the coach progression, really. I mean, you had your 5 different settings, which you'll have again. So presumably it'll be slowest, slow, normal, fast, fastest. So I'll do testing and figure out what I think is best, and create a slider set with that. But it's gonna operate very similar to NCAA 14, where you're gonna get Coach XP upgrades from things like getting players drafted, things like individual games. That could be anything from interceptions and rushing touchdowns to beating rivals, beating top 25 teams, winning the national championship. Things like recruiting, where you sign a 5-star prospect, 4-star prospect, signing the best recruit class in the country, signing the best recruit class in your conference. These things are going to matter, and they're going to upgrade your Coach XP. Things like just straight up stats, being ranked in the top 10, having a 4,000-yard passer, being ranked top 5 in offensive yards, winning more national championships, all shit like that. It's going to upgrade your Coach XP. And then once again, we get a look at the UI. This is fucking gorgeous, and it's also tracked. Like, it's tracked indefinitely, which is really, really nice. As you can see here, it shows the first downs, fumbles recovered, interceptions, pass deflections, everything you can see on the screen here. One very, very small thing is we still have pass deflections instead of pass breakups, so I just wish they would modernize that. That's not how anybody talks or keeps stats. That's not like a real thing. It's pass breakups. So it's a small thing, but I'm gonna bring it up because it does matter. Small things matter too. They're not gonna be make or break, but it's something that I hope they fix soon. Okay, here we get yet another screenshot, and then you can see in the top left corner you got first down, pass, touchdown, and you'll see that all of these different upgrades, these XPs that you're getting, even during the game, it'll pop up real time. It's gonna show you, yo, you just got +2, yo, you just got +20. So that's just a nice little thing. It's very similar, not even very similar. It's quite literally the same as NCAA 14. So there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's cool, it's clean. It's actually, it's just nice that it's shoved up in the top left corner. It's not taking up any of your screen like Barry and Brown just scored a touchdown at Kroger Field right now. You don't give a fuck about the damn XP. You want to see bro hit the gritty or whatever. I don't know what kids want these days, but you know what I mean? As you guys can tell, I've been trying my best not to be reading anything word for word, because you've already read this word for word probably. And if you haven't, you probably didn't want to read it word for word. So that's not what you guys want. But for some of this shit, I'm really going to have to. There's just so much information that's necessary. And I think this coach archetypes section is one of them where I'm just going to have to start doing that. So they're introducing new archetypes based on coach ability system. You can think of this similar to your traditional RPG classes, where all of your party members have a specific class and role. Ultimately, in order for your team to be successful, all the players in your party must do their job and work together. Our system's no different. All coaches will start with a base class or coach archetype, which can be thought of as your special ability in a traditional RPG. Just like our real life coaches, the base archetypes fall into 3 categories: recruiting, motivation, which deals with player development and program culture, and scheme, which is dealing with the actual X's and O's, the actual playing of the game of football. From your base archetype, you can progress in multiple ways. You can become an expert in a single category, like recruiting, where you become an elite recruiter and excel on the recruiting trail. Alternatively, you can become a hybrid coach who is strong in multiple areas. For example, a talent developer who is great at both talent acquisition, recruiting, and player development, motivation. The ultimate goal is to become a program builder or CEO atop the world of college football. Achieving an elite archetype like program builder or CEO is a combination of on-field success and ability progression. There is no single formula to reach these statuses, so there shouldn't be a meta. That's what we hope anyway, right? You don't want, oh shit, picking this one is just creating the most likelihood of success. We don't want that. We want variance. But you'll be able to mix and match different ability combinations and progression paths, leading to strong customization. In total, there are 11 different archetypes, each with their own focuses and perks. So that's the 11 branches that we talked about. That's a lot, because they're deep as shit. You'll see, we're getting into it. But together they form a rock, paper, and scissors relationship where there is no dominant archetype. While there is no doubt that talent acquisition is the most important thing in college football, focusing solely on recruiting could leave you vulnerable in other areas. Remember, no coach can be great at everything. Every decision you make on your coaching journey matters. Once you purchase an ability, there is no going back, as you will not be able to respec your coaches. Then we get a nice little look at the UI. This is just where you choose your starting archetype for your coach, whether you want to be a motivator, you want to be a recruiter, or you want to be a tactician. I'm pretty sure this looks extremely similar to how it looks in Madden whenever you choose your coach archetype as well. It just looks good. It's clean, and once again, some nice UI. Okay, next we get a nice little screenshot of the coach abilities, and this shit looks so good, so good. You get a spider graph, and you get a bunch of the different archetypes of coaches, and it just shows you how your coach is built, right? This is very RPG. And also to the right side, I mean, you guys can read, you can see this. I'm going to be talking about some other shit, but it just shows you your different goals, and it's very clean, and it looks like the two up top, the gold and the platinum, I wonder if those are the CEO and what was the other one? CEO and program builder. I wonder if that's what those are, why they're like separated, not part of the actual spider graph itself. It looks like you have to go very far off to like an outer circle to reach those. So I'm going to be interested to see how that works whenever you start working towards those. But under this section, we start talking about player archetype and what it does. So each archetype has a set of prerequisites and objectives that must be completed in order to purchase them. For example, in order to become an elite recruiter, you must spend 50 coach points in the recruiter archetype and sign 2 top 5 recruiting classes. That's fucking tough to do if you're not like an elite program, at least from how it sounds. So that's to be labeled an elite recruiter, it is going to be tough. Like, it's going to be tough unless you have a coach with a bunch of abilities and good pipeline, shit like that. Like, it's going to be tough. 2 top 5s recruiting classes with a bad school or average school, that shit ain't going to be easy. So I like that it just looks tough, right? To become that elite recruiter and to progress into that tree, get that label, you're going to have to put on fucking work. And that's the type of thing that could add a lot of not even replayability, but just playability. It's going to take a longer time to rebuild, and you're going to see with a lot of the stuff that we do here, that we go through, you're really going to be hamstrung. Like, there's going to be a lot of tough shit, a lot of hurdles you have to go through if you're using a 1-star, a 2-star, a 2.5-star program. So that's very good news. But once these goals are complete, the archetype becomes available for purchase with coach points. When creating your coach, you will select which base archetype you want to start with. The other 2 base archetypes will then be available for purchase with coach points without the need to meet any additional requirements. So it doesn't matter which archetype you choose, whether you want to start with the tactician, whether you want to start with recruiter or motivator. You can still work towards the other ones. It's just your starting point, right? So purchasing an archetype with coach points unlocks new sets of abilities as well as new opportunities in the coach carousel. More on that later. Additionally, each archetype has a perk when it is active. For example, Tactician has the winner perk, which awards additional coach XP every time you win a game. Your active archetype is automatically determined. If you own the program builder or CEO archetypes, they will always be your active archetype regardless of how many coach points you spent in other archetypes. If you do not own these archetypes, your active archetype is the archetype you have spent the most coach points in. So you don't even have to have maxed out that tree then. It'll still be your coach archetype just because you've spent the most points there. So all owned coach abilities are always on regardless of which archetype is currently active. Your progress can be viewed in the coach ability screen. That's what you guys are looking at here. I have it up for you. And that's accessible from the coach tab of the Dynasty Hub. Within the screen, you can see all of the available archetypes, their unlock requirements and perks, and your overall progression in each archetype. As you spend coach points in each archetype, the spider graph in the center of the screen will morph and change to show your coach's DNA. Once again, this is just really good looking UI. This is just aesthetically pleasing as fuck. They even show your coach over there. Cool. With the A+ prestige, that's kind of wild. But I guess he is level 30 and coaching for Oregon, so that would help. But yeah, once again, it just looks very good. It provides us with a ton of information on the screen, but without being, like I said, overly burdensome on the eyes. Now we're really going to be getting a look at just how deep this shit is. Like, it's crazy. Like, it is wild. It is wild. I'm going to put up this screenshot real quick and we'll get back to it in a minute. But look at your coach abilities. That's 2x4, right? 2x4, you got 8 total abilities there. Each of them have 4 tiers. And then after that, I don't know yet if you have to max that out to get to the elite recruiter abilities. Because like in NCAA 14, you didn't have to completely max out a tier before it gave you access to the next tier. You had to put in a certain amount of points, but you didn't have to have it completely maxed out. So that's something that'll be TBD. Like, we'll figure that out as we play. But either way, 8 abilities under the recruiting, just the base recruiting, and then 8 more for the elite recruiter. And they're each 4 tiers. In NCAA 14, there were only 3 tiers. And 8, that's like basically the whole tree in 14. And then you have a whole second set. And like I said, they have an additional tier as well. I mean, this is incredibly deep. There's just so much. And then especially whenever you start considering that your coordinators, albeit they're going to have a reduced effect because they're the coordinators, so that makes sense. But remember, those abilities can stack, or you can get coordinators with abilities that help boost up your weaknesses. But either way, it's just so deep in terms of how many different things have an effect on how good you are at things. And that goes from gameplay to recruiting to even different abilities that you can give to your players. It's kind of crazy how much different shit affects the actual game. But it's very exciting. But here we're going to be talking about the abilities and how they work. Once you own an archetype, you can purchase the abilities within it using coach points. In College Football 25, we are introducing more than 50 coach abilities. Each ability can have up to 4 tiers, and every tier has a purchase cost associated with it. Every archetype, with the exception of Scheme Guru, Program Builder, and CEO, has their abilities broken down by position group. This increases the level of depth and specialization each coach has. No longer is a coach great at recruiting across the board. Now coaches will specialize in specific position groups, making your staff composition that much more important. Are you a quarterback whisperer? Are you great in the trenches and committed to the no-fly zone? How does your staff complement you? This is fucking amazing news. I didn't expect it to be like this, that's great. That's just incredibly surprising in a good way. The fact that you actually have to choose, do I want to be the quarterback whisperer? Do I want to just be the dude that goes and gets all the 5-star receivers, 4-star receivers, the high-end receivers, or focus on the trenches, right? If you're Big Ten play, right? What is it? It's all about the defensive, offensive lines, although the SEC will say that too, but it's different. But anyway, this is just very, very good news, where you actually have to choose where you put your resources, and it's not just base, I'm a great recruiter now. It's very, very nice to see this. In addition to position-based boosts, there are also coach abilities with core gameplay effects, so you can really cook. Okay, so you can really cook. That's crazy. For example, the Scheme Guru archetype focuses on your gameplay style. If you are a coach who likes to play fast, you can upgrade fast tempo offense, providing you with the following boosts. This is really interesting. Battery pack, tier 1. Offensive players fatigue slower and hurry up. Tier 2 of it is caught napping, where you increase the delay to defenders looking at the sideline at the snap. That's fucking dope. I didn't even know that was a thing in this game. On their heels, which is tier 3, team composure boost for first down gained while running hurry up. And then tier 4, tip your hand, a chance to see the defense's coverage shell in hurry up. So obviously this tier all has everything to do with your fast tempo and your hurry up schemes. And I'm very interested to see. I'm all about fatigue because it was so fucking broken in NCAA 14. That's what a lot of my work was concentrated in CFBR. So hopefully they do it well where the fatigue slowing is just balanced well. Also, how dope is it that the defenders are looking to the sideline, because this is how real football works, right? Especially, I mean, typically it's actually like your middle linebacker or whoever the defensive captain is, which is usually going to be your Mike, but it depends sometimes. But they'll look and they'll get the call, and then they'll be the quarterback of the defense that play. At least that's how most defenses work. Not the entire defense looking over there. It's so for the offense, especially in hurry up, that's what they'll do. Oh, maybe that is how it works then for hurry up. I've not played too many hurry up schemes like against them. Because an offense, the entire offense looks over, because you don't huddle up, obviously, no huddle. So, it's not just the quarterback getting it and then disseminating all that information to the team, which is how usual huddles work. You guys know this. But that's why the entire offense looks. So maybe that is how it works for defense. That makes sense. Even for against hurry-up teams. I don't watch too many hurry-up teams, though. But that's very interesting. At least not to that degree. So, yeah. But I do remember working for PFF, there are sometimes straight up your defensive linemen are just straight up still standing. They don't even go down to a 2-point or a 3-point stance but I thought that was usually because of fatigue. I didn't realize that was because sometimes they're looking at to the sideline for the play. But anyway, you can make your team a well-oiled machine who doesn't work against themselves and is unfazed by rowdy home field crowds by upgrading the discipline communication ability. On offense, this provides hater blockers, which is tier 1, slight reduction in crowd noise impact on the road. Teflon, which is tier 2, significant reduction of crowd noise impact on the road. Polished, which is tier 3. You have offensive players will commit slightly fewer penalties. They're just straight up no penalties in most games before. I'll get into that in a second. And then tier 4, clean sheet offense. Offensive players will commit significantly fewer penalties, which so I'm just hoping, please, that penalties aren't just absolutely broken in this game like they were in NCAA 14. So if you don't know this is pretty important information for you. In NCAA 14, penalties were directly tied into gameplay. And by that, I mean not the frequency of a penalty call. For example, holding had way more to do with how long a offensive lineman would engage and stay engaged with the block, stay engaged with that defensive lineman. And that's why we were always telling people, us that were making sliders and stuff, not to fuck with that. Don't touch that, because it can really break gameplay. So you couldn't actually tune those penalty sliders to where you would be getting realistic amounts of penalties, because it would have such a negative detriment on the actual gameplay itself. You had to just put it where it needed to be. Something like offsides. That's another big one. That controlled how quickly the defenders actually got off the ball at the snap. Didn't have barely anything to do with them actually jumping off sides. If you tuned it far enough, maybe, but it was way more important for getting that in the proper spot to make sure that the defensive linemen are actually getting good jumps of the ball. But if you tuned it too far, I'm sure you guys have seen some of these animations where straight up the offensive tackle just doesn't even touch a D-end or a D-tackle because they move too fast. Like, they literally run right past them, which, like, that's a little crazy, right? They just kind of like look at them because they're like, oh no, I don't have the agility and acceleration to move my body in front of this person, which is wild. Like, they can literally just walk right past you. So just hoping that penalties aren't broken in this game. And to finish this section, of course, balance is critically important here. So there are defensive counters to all the offensive play style abilities. So this is what we were talking about before with the rock, paper, scissors mechanics, right? You can combat anything that a different coach is doing. So is your defense looking a little sus? Why are they talking like this? Or are you tired of getting punched in the mouth by a physical ground and pound team? Upgrade your ground and pound defense to become a stout run defense and reduce the effects of a physical offense continuously running the football. The program builder and CEO archetypes are different in that they are only available to head coaches. The abilities within them are diverse and range from roster management and program culture to home field advantage and recruiting pipeline boost. And one more time, we're going to look at this UI for the coachability screen. I mean, this is just absurdly deep. It's gorgeous. This, if you're not hype yet, get hype. This is one of those things that you really need to turn up for. And our main takeaway from this is that you can't be a great recruiter at everything. Maybe if you spend enough time just pounding this motherfucking recruit and elite recruiter tree or branch of the tree, but that would take time, and it will take a dedication of a lot of resources, and the ones you put into here, you're not putting resources into elsewhere, obviously, right? And so this is just really, really nice to see. You got to choose where you want to focus your efforts, and that's where you'll get boosts, and other places you won't. So yeah, choose what position groups matter to you. Okay, so now we get to the coordinator section. And here, both coordinators and head coaches have the same set of abilities and archetypes available to them, leading to a natural progression from coordinator to head coach and increased importance on staff management, where your coordinators either complement your strengths or shore up your deficiencies. Something we talked about earlier. Romeo, chill the fuck out. Chill. Yo, my cat, he's going crazy. But anyway, remember, no coach can be great at everything, so it's critical that your coordinators complement you. All of the abilities your coaching staff own stack together, something we already talked about as well, increasing the effect of an ability. Abilities owned by the head coach have the greatest impact. Once again, something we talked about, where your coordinators are going to have the abilities as well, but it's going to affect it much less than the actual head coach, which makes perfect sense, right? For example, a defensive coordinator having the quarterback icy veins ability, which boosts your quarterback's composure at the beginning of the game, will have a much smaller effect than an offensive coordinator owning it, because it's going to matter what side of the ball the abilities are for your different coordinators. The defensive abilities for your defensive coordinators are going to be stronger than their offensive abilities. The offensive abilities for your offensive coordinator are going to be much stronger than the defensive abilities on that offensive coordinator. Your coordinators will automatically progress their archetypes and abilities. This is fucking great news. This is absolutely amazing news. Once again, get hyped now. Go. Are you hyped? Good. Okay, your coordinators will automatically progress their archetypes and abilities. You will not be able to control which abilities they purchase, nor will you be able to respec your coordinators' abilities. This adds even more importance to how you progress your coach and manage your staff in the coaching carousel. So, wow, this is crazy. So this means that it's going to be incredibly important, the actual hiring process and actually bringing in the right guy, because you need them to be where you want them, because you don't know where the fuck they're gonna go, right? Like you're gonna know what different branches they're already in, but you can't choose what they're going into moving forward. Unlike in NCAA 14, where you just straight up chose where they were putting their different their different points into, their different abilities they were getting. You straight up chose that. But in this game, you have absolutely no control, which is good. It gives them actual personality. They're going to go do their thing, right? This is a coordinator. They want to be, they're their own coach. They do things their own way. They're learning on you, sure. But you got to go out and get them in the state that you want them. If you want a defensive coordinator that has, maybe you fucking suck. Your stick skills are just absolutely terrible on defense, and you want a defensive coordinator that has a bunch of the abilities that affect your actual in-game X's and O's of your defense. You don't even care about recruiting for them, because you know that you're so goddamn awful on defense with the sticks that you need that ability from him. So you're going to have to go out and get that. You can't just go get whatever coordinator you want and then you'll mold them, fashion them into into having those different actual in-game abilities. You need to go and get them with it, because from there, you don't know where they're going to go. They might just completely go 180 and go a different route with where they're going to progress themselves. So that is just incredible news. And it's going to add so much variance, so much depth to the actual acquisition of these different coordinators and what you want to do, how you're going to plan out your staff. It's really nice. But lastly here, you can view the abilities of your coordinators, or that your coordinators own, from within the coachability screen by tabbing left and right with LB-RB or L1-R1. Each coach will have a unique spider graph based on the abilities and archetypes they own. Pressing R3 will overlay all three coaches' spider graphs so you can quickly see where your staff is deficient. So here is the screenshot of that It's fucking overwhelming. I don't know which one is even which, because we have blue, red, and gold. Yeah, I'm not sure how we know which is this gold one your head coach because he's got the motivator joint. I don't know. But as you can see, by far the most heavily represented branch is the motivator one. It looks like red's high there, blue's high there, and gold is, got some in there as well. But it's crazy, this UI. I mean, it's very nice. How clean is that, though? You can see just with literally the click of a button where all three of your coordinators or have been, putting their focusing their efforts and putting their points into. Once again, this is just, exhibit, I don't know, a big number of just have the cleanness of this UI. You get so much information just the click of a button, and it's easy to dissect, and it's just very nice. Okay, now we are in the climbing the coaching ladder section. Your journey starts when you sign your first coach contract. When creating your dynasty, you will have the option to select whether you want to be a head coach, offensive coordinator, or defensive coordinator. So exactly like an NCAA 14. I'm pretty sure we had a good feeling that this would be back in the game, but it's nice to have it confirmed that you can be a coordinator if you want to. Coordinators have performance expectations just like a head coach. All roles will have full control of recruiting and be able to play both sides of the ball during gameplay. So that's different. That is, I don't know if, I don't start as a coordinator. That's not how I do it personally. I start as a head coach at shitty schools. That's just how I do it. But I know a lot of people do like to start as coordinators. Do you guys like legitimately, please comment this here, because I'm very curious for the people that do start as coordinators. Do you guys enjoy that you'll be able to play both sides of the ball? Is that something that you wanted? Because me, if I did go that route, I would absolutely not want that power. If I'm offensive coordinator, I would only want to be able to play offense. Defense, I'd only want to be able to play the defense then. But yeah, it gives you control, and I guess you could super sim if you wanted, like the opposite side of the ball. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of that personally. I'm gonna give all the hype to the stuff that needs hyped, but the few little things that I might have a small issue with, I'm also going to tell you that because it's what I do. I'm honest, and I just want to provide everybody with as much information and my personal opinions as I can. So yeah, I think that's a slight L, but I don't think it's like a terrible thing because you can super sim it if you want. But just kind of wish that wasn't in there. Also, in NCAA 14, coordinator shit was broken. So if you were offensive coordinator, your defense would sim much better than its ratings would suggest. And the same in the inverse. If you were a defensive coordinator, your offense would sim much better than it actually should. And I'm hoping they really fix that. They're clearly, using completely different sim logic than they did 11 years ago. But just hoping that's fixed as well. The sim was really, really fucked up, especially super sim in-game. So sign here, please. Every time you start a new coaching job, you'll be asked to sign a contract with that school. The contract will have a set contract length and performance expectations. This is the same as NCAA 14. Just like in real life, failure to meet those expectations will result in bad things happening. School expectations are determined by the school's current team prestige and program standing. The better the school, the higher the expectations. There are 4 types of contract expectations. Win a certain amount of games, win a conference championship, make the college football playoff, win a national championship. Your job security will fluctuate throughout the season based on the results of your games and whether or not you are trending towards meeting your contract expectations. The further you are from meeting your expectations, the bigger your job security will be hit. If your job security gets too low, you will end up on the hot seat, and if your seat gets too hot, you'll be fired and have to look for a new job in the coaching carousel. Alternatively, meeting or exceeding your goal will result in increased job security. Of course, if you don't like the possibility of being fired, you can always turn that off in the dynasty settings. So that's a nice thing to have. I don't think that existed in NCAA 14, right? But it's I wouldn't do it, but you gotta remember, just because me or you wouldn't do it doesn't mean that that's not a nice little feature for somebody. Especially, there's gonna be young people playing this, like kids. You know what I mean? I got into NCAA whenever I was like, I don't know, I think like 10 or so. whenever I first started playing it. And guess what? I would have turned that shit off. If I didn't want to get fired, I wanted to go out there and cheese the system and just be ridiculous. But it's nice to have the option. Every single feature, we want to have the option to toggle it on or off. That way we can just make sure that we are creating the best experience for ourselves. So it's a little thing, but it's a W. But job security is a function of your ability to meet your contract expectations. Every win and loss counts towards that expectation. With that being said, not all wins and losses are created equal. Beating a higher ranked team will have a larger impact than beating one of the generic FCS teams. Similarly, losing to a generic FCS team is not a good look. No, it ain't. All coaches also have a coach prestige letter grade that ranges from A+ to F. Ooh, F is tough. I thought they usually went from A+ to D-. They try to, make you feel a little good not getting the whole F. But coach prestige is reflective of your ability to meet contract expectations, adjusted for the school and role that you have. For example, meeting expectations and winning 5 games at a small school will have a significantly smaller impact than winning the SEC championship at a traditional powerhouse school. That makes a lot of sense. At the end of your contract, the school will evaluate whether or not they want to extend your contract based on your performance. If you are offered an extension, you will be notified that the school has decided to extend your contract, and it will be automatically accepted. So this is nice. Just a nice quality of life thing. Don't worry, automatic acceptance of contract extensions does not mean that you are unable to change jobs. You can leave for a new job via the coaching carousel at any point in your contract, regardless of your current contract status. We auto-accept extensions to protect you from inadvertently changing jobs if you sim past a contract extension offer without interacting with it. So it's exactly what it sounds like there. You auto-accept the extensions just so you don't accidentally not accept it, right? Like, you're the Oregon coach and the season just ended. You got offered to extend, and you want to come back for that year, but you just forget to click the button to actually accept it. This is making sure that you don't go into the coaching carousel and you're like, oh shit, why am I looking for a new job? So that's a nice quality of life thing. And I guess the way to think of that is you auto accept it, and then in your head you could be like, oh, they're buying me out, right? I can leave whenever I want still, and that happens all the time. Just because you sign the contract doesn't mean you're stuck there. That's the last thing it means. They can still just buy you out of that contract. But your current coach contract and job security status can be accessed from the coach tab of the Dynasty Hub. When viewing your contract, you can see your current and past job security, contract expectation, and your school season-by-season results for the past 20 years. Damn, 20 years as well. The season-by-season results show the team's records, if they are a conference champion, and any bowl games they won in that season. When signing your contract, you'll have the opportunity to look at the last 20 years and see the kind of program you're taking over. Of course, your program's history will continue to update over time as you play your dynasty. And here we get a look at that UI, which is nearly identical to NCAA 14, except it's just better, because now we get to see our coach, the level, his coach type, his offensive defensive schemes, alma mater, and job security. And before, I think we were just showed the lower half of that graphic. So this is, once again, I keep saying over and over, but that's because it deserves to be spoken about, and because they keep showing us that the UI is just nice. It's clean. They're giving us all the information we could possibly need here, without it being overwhelming or hard to understand. It's just an updated, very updated look to how NCAA 14 looked, but that's all we needed. We didn't need something crazy and revolutionary here. This is what we needed, and this is what we got. So good job again. Okay, now we're getting to another section that needs a ton of hype. They changed how this works a lot. The coach carousel, it works so differently now, and it's much more updated, and I love it. I think they did absolutely incredible here. So in College Football 25, we set out to recreate the chaos that is the college football coaching carousel, along with the domino effect it brings. Now, instead of happening over a single week, the coaching carousel takes place over the course of 5 weeks, from conference championship week to the end of bowl season, just like the real world. So yeah, that's just how it works in the real world. During the postseason is when the coach carousel happens. As fucking stupid as it is, that's not how anything should work, but that is how it works. So that is just immediately great news in terms of mimicking, IRL college football. Additionally, the Carousel is now an asynchronous experience where each user can evaluate their offers without the need to wait on someone else. That way, in your multi-user online dynasty, the entire Carousel experience won't be held up because you are sitting around waiting for your friend to get on and evaluate their job offer, only for them to tell you that they want to stay at their current job. So that's just a nice quality of life thing for online dynasties. The real important thing in this section is the fact that the Coach Carousel is now during the postseason, which is absolutely fucking chaotic, which is exactly what it is in real life. It is chaotic as all hell because it's happening while football games are still being played. And also, I love that it happens over the course of 5 weeks. It's not just a stage. You go in, right, in NCAA 14, you went in, the Coach Carousel, and when you walked out of the Coach Carousel, that bitch was over. Like, that was it. There was nothing else to it. Now it's actually staged, right? It goes week by week by week. And guess what? Just like in real life, the vast majority of those top positions, that's what's getting done week 1, right? The first week. And this is what they talk about with the domino effect. A lot of these positions are going to go get filled. And then what happens? Now there's vacancies that need filled going into the second week. So then the second wave is going to happen. And this is going to get very interesting for you as a coach. Because, what if you get offered something? Say you get no offers on day 1 of the Coach Carousel. But day 2, you're offered the head coaching position at, for example, Louisville. Are you going to accept that? That's the only one you got. But maybe you're I don't know. Let's say that you are an alum of Northwestern and that's not open yet. Are you going to accept that Louisville position? Or are you going to risk that Louisville position getting taken by somebody else and waiting into, day 3, day 4, day 5 and seeing if, you get a different position open that you would rather take? You're not just getting them all at once, right? This is a staged approach. And I love how this works. You're going to have to make very tough decisions, and tough decisions are always a W in games, especially sports games. You don't get many tough decisions a lot of the time. And what does that do? That mimics real life. And taking a fucking job, a real job, that is an incredibly tough decision. And it's very rarely is it, you go in and you just automatically know what you want to do, or you have every single offer presented you at the same exact time. That's just not how real life works. So they do an incredible job here of trying to mimic real life in this virtual space that they were given to be able to work in, and they knocked this out of the park in my opinion. Okay, so how does the Coach Carousel work? The Carousel kicks off during Conference Championship Week. During this week, all coach contracts are processed and schools determine if they want to fire, extend, or let a coach's contract expire. If your school has decided to fire or extend you, you'll receive an action item notifying you of the news. If you are the head coach, you'll also be able to fire your coordinators during this week, and then we'll get more on that later. Once you advance the week and arrive in bowl season, the first round of job offers go out. If you received any job offers, you will be notified via an action item titled View Job Offers. If you did not receive any offers, you will have a generic item titled Coach Carousel. Pressing the action item will take you to the Coach Carousel screen where you can view any job offers you have as well as all of the open jobs across the country. And just because you didn't receive any offers in the first week of bowl season, or if you didn't like the offers you received, doesn't mean your Carousel experience is over. This is what we just talked about, guys. Remember, the Coach Carousel takes place over the course of multiple weeks. The first week of bowl season is just the beginning. As schools hire and poach coaches from other schools, the previous jobs will become available as an unexpected job opening, and the schools will look to hire a replacement the following week. This is exactly what we just spoke about. If you get a job offer and you kind of like it, but you're not sure you totally want it, sure, you can not accept it. You can just let it be. But that next week, that might get taken, and something better might not get offered to you. So you really got to choose. You got to decide, whether or not you want to take that job offer when it's presented, or if you just want to say, nah, fuck it. I'm gonna risk it and wait. And you might be stuck at the same school you're at, or just not get any job offers that are appealing to you. So when viewing a job offer, you will see the school's new coach preferences, what happened to their previous coach, and who the top candidates are for the job. You will also see the contract they are offering you and what the contract expectations are. Once you accept an offer, you will stay with your current school until after the national championship game, which is so fucking dope, which is when all job changes are processed. This allows you to take one last ride with your current team and coach any bowl games they play in. So this is actually nothing like real life. This is completely fictional, great fantasy land. Whenever coaches leave, they almost always just fucking dip, right? They don't usually wait to coach that shit. A lot of them just leave, and then you use an interim. Some of them would stay, like it happens, but it is much more common that they just dip, and the bowl game is coached by some interim. If it's just a regular bowl game, usually anyway. But so this is actually one of the very few times where they weren't trying to mimic real life college football, and I think it was the correct decision. I don't think there's anybody who would be happy about taking a job offer. Say you are in this example, we'll say that you are Oregon State and somehow you made the playoff, but obviously that's not the most prestigious position. So that first round of bowl games, which would be prior to the happening of the start of the college football playoff, you get offered a job offer after going undefeated at Oregon State, making the playoff, and you get offered the head coach position at LSU because LSU just went 5-7 in your dynasty somehow. If you took that in real life, that they would not, maybe in the playoff era, they would stick around and play that out. But in real life, whenever they leave, bro, no, they're dipping. An interim is coaching that shit because they have to get to the new school. They need to hire a staff. They need to get back to recruiting and shit. Because remember, the signing day is coming up. So, yeah, no, they leave. That's just not how it works in real life. They do not stick around and coach. But I think that is absolutely the correct decision for this game. You get, they put it really well. You get one last ride. So that's going to be really fun. You know what I mean? You know that you're leaving your max school and you're about to go. You finally worked your way up P5, but guess what? Before you leave, you get to play that last bowl game with them, or go try to make it happen in the playoff or whatever have you. So that's a great decision by them. Sorry for that yap session though, that was crazy. There will be a countdown in the top right corner of the Dynasty Hub informing you how many weeks are remaining until the job changes. If you accept the head coach position, you will be able to manage your staff and hire coordinators at your new school during the rest of the carousel period. If you were fired or your contract expired and you do not accept a new job before the end of the carousel, you will be automatically placed on a new team after the national championship game. So it looks like it's not going to force you into retirement like I think Madden does, right? Like in Madden, if you just don't get a job offer, don't you? Or if you get fired, aren't you just done? They just fucking make you retire because they're so shit. It looks like no matter what, you will get a position. Even if that position is the defensive coordinator for Kennesaw State, it looks like they're not just going to boot you out of the dynasty altogether. So that's nice to see. It's a nice little quality of life thing. So now we're going to cover how do schools determine who they want to hire. Each school has a school persona, which determines what they're looking for in their next coach. Schools will evaluate candidates across the following criteria. We have level, that's just the coach's level straight up. The higher the prestige of the school, the higher caliber coach they want. Scheme, certain schools like the military academies want a coach who runs a specific style of offense or defense. That is so awesome. I do not want, I don't want Air Force turning into the air raid just because they hire a different coach. I want them to stick to what they do, this option running, and that's what they're going to go look for whenever they are trying to find a new coach. So that's nice to see. Archetype, schools have a preference on the type of coach they're looking to hire. Just like the real world, blue bloods prefer elite coaches who are a program builder or CEO. So that's kind of similar to level, but not exactly, because the archetype doesn't just have to do with how good they are. It also has to do with the type of coach. Pipeline. All coaches have a primary pipeline, which provides a boost in recruiting. This is meant to simulate an area of the country where they have strong ties and relationships in recruiting. Schools prefer coaches whose primary pipeline is the same as one of the school's recruiting pipelines. So that's so dope to see. One, it's dope to see that coaches even have their own individual pipelines, right? But also the fact that a school is going to want to find a good marriage between that. Say you just got hired at Penn State, and Ohio is one of their main pipelines. Well, guess what? They're going to want a head coach who has Ohio as a pipeline. It won't be, that won't be an absolute. It won't be, this coach does not have Ohio as his pipeline, therefore we're not going to pick him up. But it's going to be a factor, right? It's going to be something that they use to determine it, and that just adds another layer of depth, another layer of realism. So that's a nice thing to see. Then we have coach prestige. A coach's prestige is compared against the school's team prestige. A 5-star program is not going to hire a coach who is mid and only a C- coach prestige. That also is kind of similar to coach level. Not exactly. The level is just how high the numeric value is. But coach prestige is just going to be have more to do with how they've been performing lately. And then together these form an overall school fit score, which is then used to generate a list of candidates for the job. The school will then extend an offer to one of the coaches. And once again, remember, this is a totality approach where none of these are definitive. It's going to take all of these different factors into account. So this is sounds like it's done well. Sounds like they're trying to create realistic fits for the schools. All right, now we have game theory and the domino effect. It is important to keep in mind the domino effect when you're evaluating whether or not to accept a job offer. Just because a job isn't open today doesn't mean it won't be available next week. This is something we talked about at length already, guys. All right, you can view all of the current job openings by using the All Openings filter in the Coach Carousel screen. Every open job will list out the top candidates the school is targeting. Once the week is over, one of these 3 candidates will leave their current job and accept the open job. This allows you to predict which jobs may become available next week. Okay, so that's nice. That's nice to hear. So whenever there's a job opening, it's gonna say, hey, right here, 1, 2, 3. One of these guys is gonna take that job. So you're gonna have a very good idea. Hey, one of those positions is gonna be open. So if we have that same example that we used before, say you got that Louisville job opening, and you got offered that, but then you see that, for example, Michigan just lost their coach, and now they have, let's say, Colorado's, Utah's, and Ole Miss's head coaches are the new candidates to be that head coach. One of those positions will be open now, and if you like all 3 of those positions, and you are pretty confident that you would get offered one of those, you would want to hold off on taking that Louisville job, right? Because you're like, no, I think I can get one of those jobs. If it becomes, well, it's a definite. It is known that one of those 3 jobs will be open because one of those 3 are going to take that Michigan job in this example. Then you would, right? You're gonna risk it still. This is what I'm talking about. This is why it's so nice. It's a risk. Like it's an absolute that one of those positions will be open, but you don't know that you're going to be offered it. You can have a educated guess, but you don't know for certain. So that's the exact type of very fun and deep and realistic experience that I'm trying to explain to you guys. That's gonna be fucking dope. Like that's gonna be a very exciting and just extremely fun and deep experience. Pause. You can also view all of the coach movements across the coach football world in the staff move screen. The staff move screen can be accessed via the staff moves action item in the Dynasty Hub. Staff moves shows all of the coaches who changed jobs, their former new team, and reason for leaving. And now we get 3 different screenshots that we'll take a look at here. We see that we have the coach carousel, and these are the different job offers on the table for the Oregon State head coach. So he can choose to take any of those 4 jobs, but if he doesn't like them, he could say, fuck it, I'm waiting until next week and seeing, because as you can see here, these are all G5 teams, right? There's not a P4 offer here. So if he wants to risk it, but guess what? If he really likes Memphis out of this group, but he doesn't take him here and he waits that week, seeing if he can get a P4 job opening, Memphis might get taken. They might get taken by one of those other teams. So there's risk reward to that, which is nice. That's what I'm talking about with the depth of this. Then the next screenshot, we have the actual coach carousel, which is all the openings that we have here. And what's really cool, I actually really like this, is that it's not just certain tiers for any any given stage. So as you can see, Ole Miss head coach position is obviously a very prestigious position. As you can see here, it shows that it's a 4-star program. But guess what? You also have the defensive coordinator position in this stage open for Ball State. That is, as you might know, that is not a very prestigious position. No offense to the Cardinals, I love them, but that is a night and day from the Ole Miss head coach position. So it's really nice that it's dynamic in this way. So, in the next week, you might have some very big spots open up, but you're also going to have some, less prestigious. It's just going to add a lot more variance to this experience. So I'm really, really happy to see that here. Then we have final screenshot is the staff moves. And this is once again just clean UI. Not only do you get the team name, I really like that you get the team logo next to it. Makes it even easier to dissect this information. This is very lazy and very first world, but I don't even have to fucking read that's the word says Tennessee. I see the fucking orange T. It's just clean. It's just clean. That really doesn't matter, but I think it's just aesthetically pleasing to be able to see that. Also, we can see that coordinators can leave for the NFL now. That did not exist in NCAA 14. That's cool. You know what's crazy? Okay, never mind. I thought that said he was age 29 for that defensive coordinator from Tennessee. I thought I said he was age 29 leaving for the NFL. I'm like, that's insane. That's crazy. If you're 29, you usually can't even get like a coordinator position. That's just so young. But that's 29 talents. I misread that. Sorry. But as you can see, it's clean as UI. You can see the job security tells you he's on the hot seat for this. Anthony Bates, the head coach at Cincinnati, shows us his offensive, defensive schemes, his alma mater, which they throw in a logo there just for fun. His record versus rivals, bowl record, all that information you can see. Once again, this is just some very clean UI. Gives us a bunch of information. It's cool to see that coaches can leave for the NFL now. Just adds that, it's just nice layer of realism there. And another thing to worry about, right? People always talk about the consequences of success. It's nice to win and all that, but guess what? When you're winning, players are leaving for the NFL, coaches are leaving, your coordinators are leaving for head coaching positions, or your head coach may be leaving for the NFL, stuff like that. It's just, it's nice to see. It's well done once again by CFB 25. Okay, now we're getting to a part of the coach carousel experience that I was actually really worried about. I thought this could be like really, really shit if it wasn't implemented well, but shocker, I think that they actually did very, very well with this. This actually surpassed my expectations. I didn't expect this to be done well. I thought it would be just too easy if you were a good team. But we're in the managing your staff section now. As a head coach, you will now have the opportunity to manage your staff and hire and fire your coordinators. Remember, our coach archetype system does not allow you to be great at everything, making who you surround yourself with that much more important. We talked about this already. That's absolutely true, especially because you can't choose what the coordinators are getting better at. You have to take them as you see them, as they are. You need to take them and make sure that they already satisfy what you want. But staff management is your opportunity to build your staff the way you want in an effort to put yourself in the best position to succeed as a program. You're fired! Exclamation point. Managing your staff starts during your conference championship week. During this week, you will be able to fire your coordinators. Be careful because this is the only week you can do this. After this week, you are unable to replace a coordinator unless they are hired away by another school. I know that the people were joking about like, yo, if my defense sucks, I'm firing my goddamn defensive coordinator in the middle of the year. You can't do that. I'm sorry. I think this just makes more sense though. You got to do it during the actual carousel. But yeah, we have it confirmed that you can't fire mid-year. Your coordinators will not leave unless you fire them or they're hired by another school. Every coordinator has a standard 2-year contract. Once their contract expires, it will be automatically renewed for another 2 years. Of course, if you don't like them, you can always tell them they're fired. If your coordinator has 1 year or less remaining in their current contract, there's a chance they will be poached and leave for another school. If this happens during the carousel, you have the opportunity to hire a replacement. This is, once again, one of the very rare things in this article that I'm not a fan of. I don't understand why coordinators can't be bought out then. So like we talked about before, the head coach, you have your contract automatically extended whenever it's presented, so you don't accidentally not, stay at the position that you're at. But so that means that you can get hired away to a different school, even with many years still remaining on your current contract, is what that means. But that's not the case for coordinators. They're telling us here. They say you have to have 1 year or less remaining in order to be poached and leave for another school, which is saying that you can't be bought out. They can't leave until that final year, until they're in that final year of their contract, which I don't like that. I don't know why they would implement that for head coaches and not coordinators when it happens in real life for both coordinators and head coaches. Less often for coordinators, that's for sure. But yeah, I don't understand why that. At least there wasn't like a chance programmed into it, coded into the game. It's not. Once again, this isn't a huge thing. There are no major issues. We've not seen any major issues, but it's just a small thing that would have been nice to be in the game. But next we are on to welcome to the team. Starting Bowl Week 1, you can hire new coordinators if you have an open position. When you go to hire a new coordinator, you will be presented with a curated list of candidates. These coaches are chosen for you based on the needs of your school. The logic that is used to determine the list is similar to the AI school logic to determine their top candidates. When looking at a candidate, you will be able to see their current school, active archetype, coach level, and what schools are interested in them. These are the schools you would be competing with if you made them a job offer. You can also view the coach's talent tree so you can drill down more deeply and see whether or not they would be a fit for your staff. We're about to get to some real exciting shit here. When you make an offer to a coach, it is not a guarantee that they accept it. That's amazing. This is another thing I was really worried about, was the coordinator hiring process. But it is not a guarantee that they're just accepted just because you offer them. That's exciting news. And you can only offer one coach per position each week. Once you've offered them, they will appear in your staff management screen with an offer tag. This is another, this is great. This is great. Both of those two things in conjunction were like my best case scenario for how this would work. I mean, I also didn't even realize that we were going to get a multi-stage setup for this, but it's great. So you can only offer them once a week for a position. You can only offer one offensive coordinator, one defensive coordinator per stage. And it's not guaranteed that they accept it. So you're going through those, you're going through that list of candidates. You have to choose on the spot which one out of the guys that are available. But this is very similar to the actual carousel, where you are looking at the teams that you have offers to go to, but maybe you don't like any of the offers. Maybe you want to wait to see next week if there's something, but guess what you do? You risk losing the current offers that are on the table. It's going to be the same thing with this. If you don't like any of those guys, obviously you're probably going to choose one, right? You don't want to pick nobody, but you're going to give an offer out. But you're going to lose out on the other offers. Then moving forward, they might they might get hired elsewhere. So yeah, I like that it's staged. I like that it is only one offer per week. You can't just offer everybody that and then choose which one you want to accept, right? That's not how contracts work, right? You can't offer everybody, because once you offer it, they can't accept it. You would be in breach of contract if two people accept that job offer. You can only actually give it to one. So you'd be in breach of contract. You'd get sued to high hell, especially with these contracts that are worth millions of dollars for these high positions. So it's nice to see that you can't do that. You can't just offer everybody that you're interested in and then choose who you want to do. No, you got to pick on the spot, and then that's a great way to mimic real life there. So now we got some more screenshots of the coordinators and your head coach, and this is showing that your job there's a job opening for the defensive coordinator position for Oregon State here. Also, guys, once again, it's a clean UI. You get the coach's face, which is nice. Adds more personality to it, right? It's such a small thing. Such a small thing. NCAA 14, you didn't get to see their faces except like in game. That was literally it. So it just adds that little bit more extra of just like making you feel like these are real coaches, you're real people, right? And it's nice. It shows their levels, shows their archetypes, years remaining on the contracts, offense, defensive schemes, and their pipeline. Just the most important information, and it's just presented. Also, their coach grades, right? It's a C for the head coach, it's a D plus for the offensive coordinator. Yo, they might need to fire that offensive coordinator. I'm just saying, a D plus, that's a little crazy. Level 18 doesn't sound that low, right? Because it goes up to 50, but I don't know. That's a little crazy. D plus is wild. I'd be firing his ass. But then the next screenshot, we have the actual, these are all the offers. Holy shit. Or not all the offers, all the coordinators that you can offer. So that is a ton. All we see here is 5, but I don't know. There's no like scroll bar at the bottom, but still, even 5, whenever it was, whenever we saw the stuff about a school going to hire a new coach, you were given 3 options, right? They're going to take one of these 3 coaches. So, that's a pretty low number. But just to see that you have, at bare minimum, 5 options for this Oregon State defensive coordinator position, that seems nice. But it also shows the interested schools in them. So do you want to choose Danny White here, who nobody gives a fuck about? Or do you want to get competitive, go for somebody that's like level 19, level 24, somebody who's got offers because they're a higher level? These are decisions you're going to have to make, and it's going to be, this is a deep experience, very deep. This is realistic, right? The worst coordinators, there's going to be less demand for them. This is very obvious stuff. This is any job, any position. If you're not as good with what you do, less people are going to want you. And guess what? It's going to be hard to get that level 24 coordinator, even though I'd be going after that level 24 head coach from Ohio. I'm just saying, because he's only got one other team interested in him, and it's Arizona State, which is obviously not the most prestigious P4 school in the world. And that's the highest coach level that we see here. But what about Trevor McKee, level 19 over there? He's got 3 schools interested. None of them are the most prestigious, but you do have 2 P4s that are interested in Houston and Purdue. So why am I going after this level 19 when there's somebody that's a higher prestige or higher level, 5 levels higher, and only 1 team interested in him, and that 1 team isn't the most prestigious school in the world? You know what I mean? That's probably where I'd be going with this, but we'll have to see how it actually works in game. But it just seems like such a well thought out and deep experience, but not so deep that it gets to the level of tedious or confusing. And that's exactly where you want to be. And the final screenshot we have here, they went with Danny White, bro. No, how you gonna go Danny White? Yo, shout out to my boys over at Ball State, but that's wild. Bro went for the level 14 because it was easy, because there was nobody else interested in him. You gotta go a little more ambitious than that, bro. Especially when you're sporting this D plus ass offensive coordinator. That's wild to me. But once again, we just got a nice little preview of how it's actually gonna work, and it looks fucking awesome. It looks really, really good. So guys, be hype about this shit. This is gonna be an incredibly fun experience. It just is. As long as it's tuned to a reasonable degree, it's gonna be a very, very fun, rewarding experience. Okay, so I didn't even realize that was it. It's over. It's done. Oh my god, that was so much shit. That was absolutely absurd. I have no idea how long this is going to be. It's 17 different video clips that I just created, and I don't know how long they are, but it's probably going to be long. So if you stuck around this long, for real, I appreciate it, because this is probably going to be a long listen. But if you stayed this long, you probably did like it. So please do press like. If you want to hear what else I have to say, press subscribe. That shit's going to help me with the algorithm, because it's very unforgiving, and it costs you literally no money, and it takes literally the click of a button to press that thumbs up or press that subscribe button. So I'd appreciate that shit. And legit comment, say something, say anything about all this different shit we just went over. It was a ton of stuff, because I like talking about this stuff. That's a terrible understatement, right? I'm very passionate about it. College football in general. It means a lot to me. I work for PFF on the side now as a part-time job, and I'm getting into junior scouting. That's what I'm finishing in terms of my training right now. College football means a lot. College football revamped obviously meant a ton to me. I donated thousands of hours, literally. This gaming space for college football video games It means a lot to me. So I love talking about it. Say something. I'll say something back. And I just love bouncing ideas off of the community after I've had the opportunity to go through it and, create my own opinions. That's the only way you can learn, really, is after you dissect something and create your own opinions. Then what else is there? There's to get other opinions. So please, let's have conversations about this. It's going to be a good time. And, we only have, I don't know, a week and a half, right? I think it's like 11 days. I can't remember what day it comes out. 12 days, 13? I don't know. It's like 2 weeks or something left. And I think this is the proper way to spend that time, is just talking about this game, talking about how hype we are. Like, there were very few things. I think I said maybe 3 negative things. I don't know how long this fucking video is, but I said certainly 20, 30, 40 great things about it, because there were a ton of great things, a ton of great things. And there were very, very few negative. But yeah, this Yap session is finally concluded. Please, it's a click of a button, literally. Just press that little bitch, press that shit, click the fuck out of that button right there, that like and subscribe button, and say something to me in the comments. And I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back with probably I think it's recruiting next. Oh my god, I think recruiting is longer than this shit, man. I'm gonna die, bro. My jaw's like sore from talking so much. But yeah, I'll be back with a different video soon enough. But I appreciate it. Later.